final step will be to actually take those items that are being posted back from the products page and save them to the shopping cart. So let's do some quick validation. So if products to add equals null, return a redirect action on index. So there's nothing there and we just click the button accidentally. It's not worth the time of throwing an error. So then we can now say products to add equals, now this is going to be interesting. I'm going to do this kind of self-recursive thing. I'm going to say I want to change products to add to only be the products that actually need to be added, the ones that are selected. So I'm going to say store inside of products to add the result of all the products that came from postback where the P, which will be the product, dot is selected. So only give me back products that are selected, make it a list, and then store that in products to add. So we got back 4 originally. If I check 2 of them, then products to add will be filtered down to just 2 items. And those are the 2 that I want to do work on. So then we can say if products to add dot count is less than or equals 0, return redirect action, and we'll just go back to the index because again, we didn't check anything. There's no reason for us to do any work. So now we'll do a string username and get the user.identity.name. So now we need to start doing some database work. So we'll do using WSAD DB context, create our context. That'll be the end of the context. So let's start by getting our user ID. Context.users where x being the row, actually we'll call it row. Row.username equals username. Select, and this is the same idea that I did before, row.id dot first or default. So I'm selecting the user record in the where statement. I'm then actually getting just the ID back, and then I'm filtering it down to 1 item. So now we can go ahead and let's see here, create shopping cart DTO. So we need to create a shopping cart variable. So shopping DTO equals new shopping cart. And then I'll do an inline initialization. And I'll say the product ID equals, no, we don't have the product ID yet. So we have user ID equals user ID. Just from our variable, we need to actually put a loop in here. So for each var, or for each product view model, PVM in products to add. Let's see, let's actually put the for each loop inside the using statement. So these are int, so we've got our user, so we'll start our loop here. And we'll end it here. So as we loop through all of our products, in this step, we'll loop through the products and create our shopping cart items. So pvm.id, which is the product ID, quantity will be the pvm dot, actually it'll just be 1 because we only have checkboxes. So that'll be fine. And then we'll say context.shoppingcart.add, and we'll add the shopping DTO. And we actually did this step here. And then once we've done all of that work, then we will do context.savechanges, and that will save all the changes and redirect to action, and that should do it. So after we make sure that everything's working, we can come back here and do some additional checks to see, is there already a product in our shopping cart for this user? And if so, we can simply add to the quantity instead of adding an additional row. So that way we get a better feel of, hey, we're already adding an existing item to our database. All right, so I think that will do it. We've covered all of our steps. So let's go ahead and run and cross our fingers and see what happens. So we'll go /product. We'll pick an apple and an orange. We'll hit add product. And there's our holy cheese, our red delicious apple, and our orange all added to our cart successfully. We should be able to jump into our database table real fast here and say show table data. and see our data being added. So everything is working as expected. Great. So let's go ahead and do a quick adjustment here. So we can say, does this product user combo exist? So to do that, we're going to use a different property off of, or a different method off of our context. So we're going to say context dot shopping cart, and we're going to wrap this in an if statement. And we're going to say dot any. Now any will also take a lambda expression, and that expression returns a boolean. So here we're going to say, is there any shopping cart row where the row dot user ID equals our user ID, and the row dot product ID equals the PVM product ID, or PVM ID. And if there are any, then we're going to update quantity. Else, we'll create a new one. So that's the idea. So to update quantity, then we'll do context.shoppingcart.first or default. And then we'll use the same lambda expression as we did up here to grab that particular row. So where the username equals a value and the product ID equals a value. And then we'll say that this is our shopping cart. And this will be our existing shopping cart DTO. And then we'll just simply say existing shopping cart DTO.quantity plus plus. And that will then add 1 to the quantity. And we don't have to do any sort of add by making this change to the existing shopping cart object out of the DB context. We will have everything that we need to track that change, and then when we call save changes at the end, saving those changes will result in the quantity being updated. So we'll go ahead and save, we'll build. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll pick another apple and another piece of cheese and hit add product. And now the cheese has a quantity of 2, the apple has a quantity of 2, and the orange has a quantity of 1. So everything looks good, except for we need another column here to tell us that this particular row's total price. So we'll jump back, and this will be a relatively quick change. We'll jump into our view model for the shopping cart item, and I'm going to add a property. So public decimal, and this will be line item total. And it'll be a get only, and it'll return quantity times product dot unit price. Basically, that's a computed property. So we're computing the line item total based on the quantity and then the product unit price. So doing all of that work, we can then jump back into our view, and we can add a column, HTML.display for model item, item.line item total. Is that what we called it? Line item total? Yep. This would be line item total. All right, and we did a build, so now we should be able to simply refresh. And now we have that line item total, the quantity, and the unit price. We can do a few additional updates here real fast. We can say, instead of doing a display for, we can do a string.format and make this a currency format. And we don't need the lambda expression here. I'm just going to copy this line, paste it here, and change this back to line item total. Oh, whoops. So I had item.product.line item total, which isn't a thing. It's off of the shopping cart view model, which we have line item total. Right, and there we go. That fixes it. So now our cheese is 225. We have 2 of them. So our line item total is 450. And that puts everything in place.